What if I told you that one single decision, one single handshake, could change not only the course of your own life, but also the course of an entire nation? I know that sounds bold, but stay with me because today I am going to reveal something deeply important: why I reunited with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. This is not a story of politics. This is not about winning or losing sides. It is about something far greater. And I promise you this, by the end of this message, you will hear the real reason. But for now, I want you to walk with me step by step because everything I share connects to that moment. Do not skip ahead because if you miss one piece, you will not understand the whole picture. Now, let me ask you something. Where are you listening from right now? What city? What state? Drop it in the comments. I want to see seniors from across this country and across the world speaking up because this conversation isn't about me. It's about you, your families, your communities. And while you're at it, if you feel that this message already matters, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of my messages. Because I believe what I shared today could very well be a turning point for you personally. Here's the truth. Conflict and division always promise power, but they rarely deliver peace. And if there's one thing I've learned in my life, it is that division only weakens the future. So why am I telling you this before I even reveal the story of that reunion? Because the very first reason forgiveness and peacemaking matter is this. Forgiveness frees you from the prison of bitterness. I want you to think about this carefully. Every time we hold on to anger, whether it's against a family member, a neighbor, or even a public figure, we are the ones who carry the weight. We are the ones who lose sleep at night. And over years, that weight breaks down the human spirit. It robs us of joy, it robs us of clarity, and it robs us of opportunity. Now imagine what America would look like if millions of us chose to lay down that bitterness, even just for one day. How many relationships would heal? How many communities would find common ground? How many seniors watching right now? Yes, I'm speaking to those in your 60s, 70s, even 80s. How many of you would finally feel free of the grudges that have carried over decades? Let me ask you directly, what bitterness are you still holding? And who would you become if you let it go? Write that in the comments. Share it, because when you speak it out, you weaken its hold over you. Now, some of you may be thinking, Elon, forgiveness sounds good, but what do I do with the pain, the disappointment, the betrayal? I want to give you something practical here. I've seen thousands of high-performing leaders, entrepreneurs, even ordinary citizens transform their lives when they began tracking one thing: their daily emotional state.
That's why I encourage you, yes, you listening right now, to use something like the 31-day Daily High Impact Planner because it forces you to confront your mindset each morning and each evening. Write down your frustrations, then write down what you're grateful for. I promise you, gratitude has the enemy of bitterness. Let me give you a story, one I've watched unfold right here in America. A retired teacher in Florida, 74 years old, told me once that for decades she refused to speak to her sister after a falling out over inheritance. They lived just 20 meters apart, yet for 25 years they did not share a single meal. One day, her health took a sudden turn, and do you know what she told me? She said the weight of all those years, all that silence, was heavier than the illness itself. That struck me deeply, because the truth is, life is shorter than we think. And the question is never how long do I have left? The real question is, what will I do with the time I have left? And this is why I am beginning here, before I reveal the reason I reunited with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Because step one is this: forgiveness frees you. Without it, nothing else matters. With it, everything begins to change. But this is only the beginning. There are more reasons, 5 more in fact, why peacemaking is not only necessary, but essential for the future we want. Each one builds on the other. And the final reason is the most important of all. It is the very reason I made the decision I did. So stay with me, because what I will reveal at the end of this message is something I believe no one else will ever tell you. It may just be the most important truth you hear this year. Let me ask you something personal. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and realized the very people you turned away from were the ones you needed the most? Think about that. Because one day, whether we like it or not, we will all face a moment where reconciliation isn't optional, it's necessary. And if you miss that chance, it may never come again. Now, I promised you earlier that I would reveal why I reunited with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial toward the end of this message. That moment was not random. It was not a publicity move. It was built on lessons I believe every one of us needs right now. But before I reveal the full story, you must hear the second reason forgiveness and peacemaking are necessary, because this one is about legacy. Here it is. Forgiveness preserves the future for those who come after us. Pause and really feel this. When you carry bitterness, when you carry grudges, you are not the only one who suffers. Your children see it, your grandchildren inherit it, even your community feels it. Whether it is families divided over politics, neighbors who no longer speak, or an entire nation split apart, the burden of our anger always gets passed down. And what we hand to the next generation is often heavier than what we carried ourselves. Let me ask you this. If the next generation were to inherit only what you carry in your heart right now, would you be proud of what they receive, or would you feel regret? I want you to answer that in the comments. Be honest. Write proud if you know you're passing down love, and write regret if you know there's something inside you that you don't want your children or grandchildren to inherit.
I want to see those answers. A few years ago, I spoke with a group of veterans. One of them told me that the hardest battles he faced were not in war, but in his own living room. My children learned my anger before they ever learned my love. He said, that struck me like lightning because here's the truth. Anger is contagious, but so is peace. Think of this. When you choose peace, even once, you plant a seed of calm that your family can rest in. When you choose forgiveness, even after years of silence, you open a door for generations to walk through. And when you refuse, when you keep the walls high, you may think you're protecting yourself, but what you're really doing is locking out the very people who may need your guidance the most. So I ask you directly, what do you want your family to say about you when you're gone? That you taught them how to fight, or that you showed them how to reconcile? Write it in the comments right now. If you want your legacy to be reconciliation, just type the word peace below. Now, this is not easy. I know that many of you listening right now have wounds that go back 50 years or more. And maybe you're thinking, Elon, I want peace, but where do I begin? The truth is, beginnings are small. One word, one letter, one gesture. That's how forgiveness starts. And that's where the 31-day daily high-impact planner comes in again. Use it not as a productivity tool only, but as a mirror. Write down every day, what legacy am I building with my words and my actions today? Because if you don't track it, you will lose it. And if you lose it, your family may lose the chance to see the best side of you. Let me give you a warning, because it's urgent. If you wait too long to forgive, time will not wait for you. I've met countless people who told me the same painful sentence. I thought I had more time. More time to call, more time to apologize, more time to extend a hand. But then the door closed, and the regret became permanent. And regret, my friends, is the heaviest inheritance of all. Do not let regret write your story. Do not let bitterness steal your legacy. This is why forgiveness isn't just about you. It's about your children. It's about your grandchildren. It's about every single person who will live in the world you leave behind. And that brings us closer to the truth about why I chose to reunite with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Because when you step into a room where divisions have lived for years, you carry more than your own voice. You carry the voice of everyone who believes in reconciliation. But I'm not telling you the full story yet. You must stay with me because the sixth reason, the final reason, is the most important of them all. It is the reason behind that moment. And when you hear it, I believe it will not just change how you think about forgiveness, it will change how you live it. Let me ask you a question that may be uncomfortable. What is conflict really costing you? Not just in terms of energy, but in terms of health, clarity, and even your years on this earth. Because the truth is, the human body was never designed to carry prolonged anger. Scientists have shown again and again that resentment raises blood pressure, weakens the immune system, accelerates aging, and even shortens life expectancy.
So, here is the third reason forgiveness and peacemaking are absolutely necessary. Forgiveness restores your health and your strength. Now pause with me. If bitterness makes you weaker, forgiveness makes you stronger. Think about it. How many of you listening right now are in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, and you still feel the weight of arguments that happened 20 years ago? How many of you notice your heart beats faster when you remember certain names or certain events? That's not just in your mind. That is your body sounding an alarm. Write in the comments right now, when you think of the word forgive, what is the first feeling that rises in you? Is it relief? Is it fear? Is it resistance? Type it below. I want to hear the honest answers because honesty is the first doorway to transformation. A man once told me that his doctor gave him medication for high blood pressure. But here's what shocked me. After months of trying to lower it with pills, the thing that finally brought his numbers down wasn't medicine at all. It was a phone call. One call to his estranged brother. One act of courage. Within weeks, the doctor said his heart readings looked better than they had in years. Do you see? Sometimes the heaviest poison in the body is unresolved conflict. Now let me ask you, if you knew you could add more years to your life simply by letting go of bitterness, would you do it? Comment below. Write, yes, more years if you would. And if you feel resistance, write, still struggling. Either way, say something, because voicing where you are right now may be the very key that opens the door to where you want to go. Here is something new. I want you to consider your body has two natural states, fight or peace. Most people live their entire lives stuck in fight. Forgiveness is the switch that takes you back to peace. And peace is not weakness. Peace is recovery. Peace is healing. Peace is the environment in which your mind thinks clearer, your decisions sharpen, and your creativity returns. That's why I continue to recommend you use the 31-day daily high-impact planner, not just to track your goals, but to write down how your body feels when you forgive someone. Even if it's just in your mind at first, write down how your heart responds, how your sleep changes, how your appetite stabilizes. Because once you measure it, you will see forgiveness doesn't just heal relationships, it heals you. But let me give you a warning, and I want you to hear this with full seriousness. If you allow bitterness to stay in your body long enough, it will consume you from the inside out. It is no different from drinking poison every morning and hoping someone else gets sick. The longer you wait, the more damage it does. And sometimes, by the time people finally wake up, their health has already paid the price. So here is my question to you. What are you choosing? Every day, life or poison? Write it in the comments.
Life. If you are choosing forgiveness or poison, if you realize bitterness has been eating at you, but you want to change, write it honestly, because that single decision can mark a turning point in your health. I've seen people in their 80s make the choice to forgive and suddenly feel a new energy they hadn't felt in decades. I've seen families watch their grandmother, who had been silent for years, finally release the pain she carried, and suddenly her laughter returned. Do not underestimate this. Your body knows when you are at war with others, and it will keep fighting until you lay down the weapons. And that brings us closer to the deeper truth. Because the reunion I promised to share with you, the one between me and Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial, was not about politics. It was about health. Not only personal health, but the health of a nation. A nation can become sick the same way a person can. And if we do not forgive, the illness spreads. This is why forgiveness matters. Not just for your freedom, not just for your legacy, but for your health and strength. But there is another reason, even deeper, that I must share with you. A reason that has everything to do with your ability to build trust again in a world that has been shattered by lies and broken promises. And when I tell you that, it will bring us even closer to the answer you've been waiting for. Why I chose that reunion, why I stood in that room, and why I believe it matters for every one of us listening today. I want you to imagine this with me. You are walking across a bridge, and beneath that bridge is a raging river. You know you need to cross, but halfway through, you look down and suddenly fear paralyzes you. What happens? You freeze. And in freezing, you risk falling. That is what unforgiveness does. It paralyzes you. And this is why the fourth reason forgiveness and peacemaking are necessary is this. Forgiveness rebuilds trust. And without trust, you cannot move forward. Think about it. A marriage cannot survive without trust. A friendship cannot grow without trust. A nation cannot endure without trust. When you hold on to anger, you are holding on to broken trust. And if you never forgive, you never rebuild. You remain frozen on that bridge, stuck, vulnerable, and unable to finish the journey. Now let me ask you directly, who in your life do you no longer trust? Who do you keep at a distance because the wound runs too deep? Write their role in the comments. Don't write their name. Protect their privacy, but write family, friend, neighbor, or leader. Put it out there. Because when you name the space where trust is broken, you begin to see where rebuilding must start. I once heard a story of a church divided down the middle over one disagreement. Family split. Friends sat on opposite sides, refusing eye contact. That community stayed fractured for nearly 15 years.
Do you know what finally healed it? One person stood up one Sunday morning, walked across the aisle, and shook the hand of the man he had not spoken to in over a decade. That one act of forgiveness did not just restore their relationship, it restored the trust of an entire community. Trust is contagious, so is distrust. The question is, which one will you spread? Write it in the comments right now. Comment trust if you want to build bridges, or distrust if you recognize you've been frozen too long and you want to break free. Here's what most people do not realize. Distrust isolates you, and isolation is dangerous. When you stop trusting people, you withdraw into silence. Silence may feel safe for a time, but it eventually suffocates. Loneliness kills more slowly than anger, but it kills just as surely. And many seniors listening right now, you know what I'm speaking of. Some of you have lived years without speaking to your siblings, your children, your former friends. And in that silence, your world has grown smaller. Let me ask you, are you willing to live the rest of your years in isolation? Or are you ready to open the door to trust again? Drop your answer below. Type open if you are ready to open the door. Type closed if you feel resistance but you want to confront it. Now, how do you rebuild trust when it feels impossible? I'll give you something simple. Trust begins with consistency. Do one consistent act of goodwill every day for 30 days. It could be a letter you write, a prayer you whisper, or a kind gesture toward the very person you once opposed. That's why I keep urging you to use the 31-day daily high-impact planner. It is not just about managing your time. It is about tracking your consistency. Write down every day one act that rebuilds trust, and in 30 days, you will see something shift. But let me warn you, if you refuse to forgive, distrust will harden into cynicism. Cynicism is deadly because it blinds you. When you become cynical, you no longer believe anyone is trustworthy. And when that happens, even those who love you the most will be kept at arm's length. Imagine the pain of your children or grandchildren reaching for you, but your cynicism building walls they cannot climb. Do not let that happen. Do not let bitterness rob you of the chance to leave behind the legacy of trust. Now, understand this. When I chose to reunite with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial, it was not because every difference had vanished. It was because trust needed to be rebuilt, not only between two individuals, but as an example for many who are watching. If leaders cannot forgive, how can a nation heal? And yet, I want you to hold this with care. That was not the full reason. There is something deeper, something more powerful, something I will only share at the very end of this message. Because the sixth reason is not just about trust.
It is about destiny. So forgiveness frees you. Forgiveness preserves legacy. Forgiveness restores health. And forgiveness rebuilds trust. But there is more. There is another reason you must hear. One that will challenge you in ways you may not expect. It has to do with your vision of the future and whether you will rise above division or sink beneath it. Stay with me,
Because every reason builds toward the one that truly explains why I reunited with Donald Trump. And when you hear it, I believe it will shift the way you see reconciliation forever. There's something I need to tell you right now, and it may be the most uncomfortable truth yet. Forgiveness is not only about freedom, legacy, health, or even trust. Forgiveness protects your future. Yes, your future. Because every time you refuse to forgive, you chain your tomorrow to the pain of yesterday. And if yesterday controls you, tomorrow will collapse under the same weight. Now let me ask you directly. Are you carrying yesterday's pain into tomorrow's plans? Be honest. Drop your answer in the comments. If you feel chained, type chained. If you are ready to break free, type future. Don't just watch, engage. This is how you take the first step forward. I cannot emphasize this enough. When you do not forgive, you surrender control of your future to someone who hurt you in the past. That person, whether they meant to or not, becomes the author of your story. Do you really want the one who wounded you to write your next chapter? Or do you want to reclaim the pen and write it yourself? Type "my pen" in the comments if you want to reclaim authorship of your life. Let the community see you declaring it. Let others who are struggling know they are not alone. I remember speaking with an elderly woman who had carried resentment for 40 years. She told me she couldn't even remember the original offense clearly, but the bitterness remained. Do you know what broke my heart? She admitted with tears streaming that the resentment stole her chance to live fully in her later years. She said, "I lost decades because I was too proud to forgive." Friend, do not let that be your story. Do not allow bitterness to steal the years you still have left. Some of you listening right now, you're already feeling it, aren't you? You're realizing that unforgiveness has silently written more of your life than you ever intended. Let me ask you this. If you keep living this way, what will it cost you in 10 years? Think carefully and drop your thoughts in the comments. The answers might shock you, and someone else might find healing through what you share. Here's what most people overlook.
Unforgiveness distorts vision. It clouds how you see tomorrow. You begin to expect betrayal where none exists. You prepare for hurt, even in moments of joy. And when you live like that, you never fully embrace opportunities that come your way. Now, I'll give you this much today. The way to clear your vision is not complicated, but it is costly. It requires a sacrifice most people avoid. I'll show you more as we continue, but for now, write this truth down. Vision without forgiveness is blindness disguised as foresight. Let me be very clear. Your future is too important to gamble with. If you refuse to forgive, you're not just endangering your own path, you're endangering the next generation too, because bitterness is hereditary. Children and grandchildren inherit patterns of unforgiveness they watch in their parents. And if you don't stop it, the cycle multiplies. Think of it. What will your grandchildren inherit? Bitterness or blessing? Drop one of those words in the comments. Bitterness if you're honest enough to admit the struggle, or blessing if you're ready to change what you leave behind. And this is why I remind you again, don't overlook the 31-day daily high-impact planner. It isn't just about organizing schedules, it's about shaping futures. Use it to map out the steps of reconciliation you've been avoiding. Even one small step each day, one call, one prayer, one word of kindness will protect the future you long for. Write it down, track it, see your progress, because the future you guard today becomes the inheritance your loved ones will live tomorrow. Now, do you see why protecting your future through forgiveness is not optional? It is survival. It is legacy. It is destiny. But listen, there is something far greater than survival, legacy, health, trust, or even the future. There's one last reason forgiveness cannot be delayed, and it is the reason I reunited with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. It is the reason I could not stay silent, because what I'm about to share with you is not just personal. It is a message that will decide the direction of entire communities and maybe even nations. So stay with me, because when I reveal the final reason, You will understand why reconciliation is not just important, it is urgent. And why that moment with Donald Trump was not about politics, not about optics, but about something far more profound. And when you hear it, you will realize why this truth cannot wait another day. Listen closely, because this is not only about me. This is about you, your family, and even the direction of entire nations. The final reason forgiveness and reconciliation are necessary
is this: forgiveness is alignment with destiny. Every act of unforgiveness tears you out of alignment with the very purpose you were created for. It disconnects you from the mission that only you can fulfill. And when you are out of alignment, you are not just missing peace, you are missing power. That is why I reunited with Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. Not because every wound had vanished, not because every disagreement had dissolved, but because destiny demanded alignment. There are moments in life when reconciliation is not a choice, it is a command. And I must ask you, have you been delaying destiny because you are holding on to offense? Be honest, write it in the comments. Type delay if you feel you've been postponing your purpose, or type destiny if you're ready to realign right now. When I sat beside Donald Trump that day, I knew people would question it. I knew many would misunderstand, but I also knew this. It was not about image. It was not about politics. It was about a moment that required humility for the sake of something greater. And here's what I want you to understand. Sometimes God hides your breakthrough inside the very person you least expect to reconcile with. Let me ask you directly, what if your next season depends on reconciling with the one you swore you'd never speak to again? Would you risk missing it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. But let me warn you, if you ignore this, you may forfeit opportunities that will never return. Destiny is time-sensitive. Moments come, but they do not always repeat. And if you harden your heart at the wrong time, you may miss an entire season meant for your life. I don't say this lightly. Some of you listening right now, you are at a crossroads. You can feel it in your spirit. You know there is someone you need to forgive, someone you need to reconcile with before you can step into what's next. Do not delay. Here's a truth most overlook. Destiny is relational. It is never fulfilled in isolation. Every major turning point in history required unlikely partnerships, unexpected reconciliations, and courageous alignments. And the same is true for you. Your destiny is tied to relationships. Some painful, some difficult, but all necessary. I will tell you more about how this works in the next message, but hear this clearly today. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the unlocking of destiny. So now you know why I sat beside Donald Trump at Charlie Kirk's memorial. It was destiny calling. It was not comfortable, but it was necessary. But listen to me carefully. What happened that day was only the beginning. There was something deeper. Something I witnessed, something I cannot yet fully explain here, that changed the way I see forgiveness, unity, and the future. And in my next video, I will reveal it. So do this right now. Hit the like button if this message stirred something in you. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell notification icon so you do not miss what comes next. Because what I'm about to share is not just a message, it's a revelation that could alter how you see your own destiny forever. Comment below, I'm ready, if you want to hear it, or tell me more if you cannot wait until the next video drops. Do not harden your heart in this moment. What you choose to release or what you choose to hold on to will determine not just your peace today, but your destiny tomorrow. Stay awake and stay open, because the moment that changes everything may come sooner than you think. And when it does, you must be ready. Check my playlist for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.